Fortnite has added a lot of things people have loved, but they've also added things fans have, well, absolutely hated with their entire heart. These are the 15 most hated things in Fortnite history. Real quick, thank you guys so much for 3 million subscribers. I know I'm new here on Top 5 Gaming, but making Fortnite videos for you guys have been so much fun, and I really appreciate you guys letting me come on as a co-host with Sam. I'll talk more about the 3 million subscriber giveaway at the end of the video, but for now, on to number 15, Mechs. The final season of Fortnite Chapter 1 was incredibly controversial, not because they added a ton of old locations back to the map, or because they got really weird with the unvaulted weapons and rift zones, which was cool by the way, Epic, but because of a certain vehicle. One of the most hated things of Fortnite Chapter 1, we're talking about Mechs. Remember them? Of course you do. They were truly one of the most terrible vehicles that have been ever added to Fortnite. I mean, this clip pretty much proves it. Need I say any more? Eventually Mechs were nerfed time and time again, until eventually Epic just made them explode at the start of every match later in the season. I mean, good riddance. Number 14, the lightsabers. Although Epic ended up getting rid of the Mechs, it seems that they wanted to one-up themselves with Chapter 2's launch. A few months into Season 1, we had a decent Star Wars event, but they gave us lightsabers and blasters. At first, they were extremely fun and a great way to change up the game, especially with how boring Chapter 2's launch was. But over time, as pro players and tryhards got their hands on these things, let's just say the lightsaber stopped being fun real quick.
Do you see how far away he was? He teleported.
Just look at the reach on that saber, she was nowhere near him. But the lightsabers aren't nearly as bad as number 13, the baller. Or as I like to call it, the pro player's best friend. I mean, these were added in Season 8, and at first everyone thought they were great fun and a pretty entertaining vehicle.
Oh my god, it works, dude.
Oh my god.
Let's go, baby! Yeah!
But there's way too many buts in this video. But as the season progressed, these things became one of the most annoying things in the meta. Pro players in tournaments began just using these things during the final storm circle so that they could let everyone else fight and they could just take an easy win. It got pretty ridiculous. I mean, just to show you how insanely annoying these things were. Yeah, safe to say a lot of us were happy when the ballers revolted in Season X. Then again, Epic replaced them with the Mechs, so at the end of the day, we kind of just replaced an L with a bigger L. Number 12, Jetpacks. Remember when games like Call of Duty just kept adding more and more ways to get around, like wall running and exoskeletons, and people just got so tired of it so quickly? Turns out that Fortnite had the same backlash in Season 4 when Epic decided to go and add, you guessed it, jetpacks. With the jetpacks, people could just easily fly over your builds and get the drop on you, which kind of ruined the entire point of building, you know, Fortnite's main feature. I mean, what's the point of even being smart about your build battles when someone could just fly up and throw grenades at you? I mean, especially when you combine other mobility items like hop rocks, impulses, and more. It was just not meant for public matches. Here's the thing, a lot of players asked for this, and eventually Epic caved in, but as usual, they vaulted the jetpacks literally 2 updates later. Although you could still use them nowadays in the spy games and close encounters LTMs, which is where they belong from day one, and it's a lot of fun in there. Number 11, bots. Now, bots actually aren't as hated as a lot of the things on this list, but there is still a large amount of the community who feel that they take away from the feeling of the game, and that they aren't perfect enough. For example, there are a ton of glitches or just superhuman things that these guys do, like beam you through a bush when a normal player wouldn't be able to see you. Now, to be clear, we're talking mainly about the bots that pretend to be actual players, but I guess the new Chapter 2 henchmen also technically count because those guys are so annoying. Either way, these guys are so inconsistent because in some games you could get really lucky and they'll miss every shot, and well, in other games, I mean, like, isn't that just some insanely unfair stuff? Not to mention, it's almost like these bots are programmed to shove eliminating you in your face. Overall, it kind of took the player versus player feeling out of Fortnite for a lot of people. No wonder why some fans don't like them. Number 10, planes. The planes. What an interesting thing, wouldn't you say? When these guys were added into the game during Season 7, they started off with decent feedback. People thought they were an alright air vehicle and saw themselves using it to do like challenges, get away from the storm, that type of thing. But what no one predicted is that these things would end up being one of the most hated additions in Fortnite history. Why, you ask? I mean, there's plenty of reasons, with the main one obviously being how they could just boost through builds so easily and knock players across the map.
No! I am done with this game. I'm done. I'm done. I'm uninstalling. I'm leaving. I'm done. I'm actually uninstalling.
Added with the turrets on the wings too and how overpowered every aspect of them was, it's no surprise everyone hated these. The planes were vaulted with Season 8 and we haven't had an air vehicle since. Well, that was until a few days ago. With the most recent Fortnite update, Epic introduced us to the Choppa, and because of how disastrous the Stormwings were, we'd love to know what you guys think of the helicopters in Fortnite. I've seen people say it's overpowered, with others saying the fact that you can't redeploy makes it balanced. Then again, with the Choppas, you can do risky snipes like this one.
I hit him.
So yeah, let us know what you think about them. Overpowered, underpowered, perfect? I'll heart a couple of your guys' comments. Number 9, the double pump. Okay, yeah, I know, this next entry is pretty controversial because of how half the community want it back and the other half are extremely grateful for it being vaulted. And of course, we're talking about the double pump. The double pump meta was something pretty much every streamer on like the planet during Season 2 was using, and it became so popular so quickly that a lot of people consider this time one of the best seasons to date. Others, not so much. You see, double pump was one of the most overpowered weapon strategies that we've seen to date. I mean, let me show you. So double pump was removed when Epic added a much needed shotgun delay. But in the end, the shotgun delay turned out to be even more hated than the double pump itself was because it applied to literally every shotgun, which is extremely frustrating. After a few tweaks though, Epic got it to apply just to 2 pump shotguns, and honestly, it should have been like that from day one. But if you think double pump's bad, that brings us to number 8, the C4. One of the items on this list that is actually still in the game as we speak are the remote explosives, a name nobody calls it because they're C4. Now, they aren't as bad this season as they used to be, but back then, things were pretty ridiculous. I'm not joking. Since this clip, the remote explosives have been nerfed, changed, vaulted, unvaulted, and nerfed again. So they should be okay now, but then again, they're still pretty unbalanced. At least now they at least have like proximity mines for competition, but still, C4 OP. On to number 7, we have the Minigun. Miniguns, before they were given the overheating mechanic, used to be insanely overpowered in the early days of Fortnite. It was during this time that you could just keep collecting light bullets to the point where you could literally unload 999 bullets at someone without stopping once. Of course, Epic ended up adding the overheating feature, which meant so many people just stopped using miniguns entirely, but it didn't stop them hating the weapon. It went from being disliked because of how OP it was to being disliked for how useless it was. But I guess with Season 2, you can at least use these things now to shoot down Choppas, so they're not entirely awful anymore, and I guess that's why we're grateful for the Choppa. Number 6, the Infinity Blade. The Infinity Blade was the first ever mythic item added to Fortnite, and it was so insanely overpowered, it felt like they made it that way on purpose. Epic has so many game testers, and not one of them thought to say, hey, maybe this sword might be a little ridiculous for a battle royale game. Either way, the sword literally gave you health and shield, allow you to jump super high and far, as well as do a ton of damage in just a few hits. Not to mention, it was in the same spot at Polar Peak every single time, so if you got the sword, you pretty much got the dub too. This thing was so overpowered that Epic removed it within 2 days and immediately apologized on Twitter, saying that they messed up and that they were reevaluating their approach to mythic items, and then thanked the community for calling them out. Number 5, the Compact SMG. The Compact SMG, or as pretty much everyone knows it, the P90, was a gun which had such a high fire rate and magazine count that it was up there with the drum gun in terms of inventing the whole spray and pray meta. We won't delve too deep into why this was overpowered, but let's just say the P90 was hated because, well, I mean, just look at it compared to Thanos' Power Stone. Of all things to compare to, Thanos' Power Stone. That's pretty much all the explanation I need. Number 4, the Combat Shotgun. Season 9's combat shotgun was probably the most hated shotgun out of all of them, and there was a mix of reasons why, such as it replacing the pump, which, let's be honest, really hurt the egos of a lot of pump lovers. Besides it just replacing the pump and the pump being removed, it also had the range of a sniper at times, and the fire rate was pretty stupid for a shotgun that does that much damage. Not to mention, well, it was probably one of the most used weapons in the entire meta during Season 9, just look. When Epic removed the combat shotgun and brought back the pump, let's just say we were all pretty relieved. I mean, I still liked it using it, but I like the pump better. It also has nothing on our number 3 spot, which is the guided missile launcher. You know how in video games you're supposed to actually use skill to aim your gun and hit the target? Well, that's not exactly how this next weapon works at all. The guided missile launcher was something which required literally no skill whatsoever to use because that was, well, the entire point of it. So not only was this thing a weapon that you could control after you fired it, but it was also a rocket launcher, so it did a massive amount of damage. Just to show you how unfair being able to control the rocket is, just watch this guy get saved by one. Over time, it got its damage nerfed and was super fun for doing like tricks in public lobbies, but the OG missile launcher was a nightmare. Number 2, Ssiphon Removal. One of the most hated things in Fortnite's history was the removal of one of the game's best features yet, Ssiphon. Ssiphon is the name for the mechanic which gives you health and shield after you eliminate an enemy, and when Fortnite introduced it to the game, everyone absolutely loved it.
Ready, go!
Although Epic, being rebels for no reason, decided to remove Ssiphon out of the game because it apparently made everyone too aggressive when fighting. Now, I could very much understand that viewpoint, and of course this sparked absolute months of backlash on Twitter, Instagram, and more social media pages with fans screaming at Epic just to add Ssiphon back. I mean, hey, they were willing to compromise with us and we got it back in arenas, but still, they went and added one of the best things in Fortnite's history and then just removed it out of nowhere. Number 1, we have skill-based matchmaking. The thing I thought no one wanted, and still what I think no one wants. See, here's the thing, I'm a complete bot at Fortnite, but hey, I'm a bot with pride, okay? When Fortnite added skill-based matchmaking, it means that you play against people with similar skill, a great idea on paper. Well, that's what they intended, but for some reason every game I get matched against kids competing like it's the World Cup, so not so fun. I really shouldn't have to have a literal spaz attack just to fight somebody in a build battle. One of Fortnite's best features when it was released is that you could play it multiple different ways. You could troll people, you could try out the new additions, or mess around. You don't have to take it serious. Now it feels like you have to take the game serious 24/7, which I don't really find fun anymore. Please fix Epic. But real quick, I do want to mention about the 3 million subscriber giveaway. We've been slowly picking all the winners and we'll be announcing them in a future video once we've given away all the prizes. I'll keep you guys updated with proof like we always do. You know, we're not out here scamming or anything. But make sure you check out this video on screen before it disappears. Poof, you need to click now. This has been Tommy from Top 5 Gaming. I'll see you guys there.